Imagine a world cloaked in ice, a world far harsher than our own. This was the world of the Neanderthals, our closest extinct human relatives. For over 350,000 years, they didn't just survive. They thrived across Europe and Asia. But what was their life really like? Forget the brutish caveman stereotype. The real story of the Neanderthals is far more complex and fascinating. Join me as we journey back in time to uncover the daily life, the triumphs, and the ultimate mystery of this incredible ancient people. Let's start with family and community. Neanderthals lived in small, close-knit groups, probably numbering between 5 and 15 individuals. Think of it as an extended family unit. These groups were their entire world, their support system for hunting, raising children, and caring for the sick and elderly. Archaeological evidence, like the remains of an old Neanderthal man with severe arthritis and missing teeth found in Shanadar Cave, Iraq, shows us something profound. He couldn't have survived alone for years in that condition. His group must have cared for him, fed him, and protected him. This wasn't a survival of the fittest. It was a community built on cooperation and empathy. Their homes weren't just dark, damp caves either. While they certainly used caves and rock shelters for protection from the biting cold and predators like cave bears and hyenas, they were also skill builders. At sites like Moldova and Ukraine, archaeologists found circular structures made from mammoth bones, complete with hearths for fire. These were likely seasonal camps, sophisticated dwellings that they returned to year after year. They were nomads, but not aimless wanderers. Their movements were strategic, following the seasonal migration of animals and the availability of plants. And what about their diet? For a long time, we thought Neanderthals were pure carnivores, exclusively hunting massive beasts like mammoths, woolly rhinos, and giant deer. And they were without a doubt formidable hunters. Their bodies were shorter, stockier, and more muscular than ours, a powerful build perfectly adapted for close-quarters ambush hunting in wooded environments. They used heavy, stone-tipped, thrusting spears, meaning they had to get dangerously close to their prey. The sheer number of healed fractures found on Neanderthal skeletons is similar to that of modern rodeo riders, a testament to their risky lifestyle. But recent discoveries have completely changed our understanding of their menu. By analyzing the tartar on their teeth, scientists have found evidence of a much more varied diet. They ate plants, and not just by accident. They were cooking barley and eating legumes, dates, and water lilies. They even seem to have understood the medicinal properties of certain plants. At one site in Spain, DNA from dental plaque showed that a Neanderthal with a painful dental abscess had been eating poplar bark, which contained salicylic acid, active ingredient in aspirin. They were also eating a type of mold, penicillium, a natural antibiotic. This is incredible evidence of early self-medication. Their diet also included seafood. At coastal sites in Portugal and Gibraltar, researchers have found evidence that Neanderthals harvested mussels, seals, and even dolphins. They were adaptable and resourceful, making the most of whatever their local environment had to offer. So, they were intelligent, caring, and resourceful. But were they artistic? Did they have a symbolic culture like early modern humans? This has been one of the biggest debates in paleoanthropology. For a long time, the answer was thought to be a firm no. But new evidence is chipping away at that old idea. In several caves in Spain, painting simple red lines, dots, and hand stencils have been dated to over 64,000 years ago. This is a full 20,000 years before modern humans are thought to have arrived in Europe. The only people there at the time were Neanderthals. This is a game changer. It suggests they were capable of abstract thought, of marking their world with symbols. we've also found eagle talons that were notched and worn in a way that suggests they were worn as jewelry, perhaps as a necklace or pendant. Perforated shells, covered in pigment, have also been discovered far from any coastline, meaning they were deliberately collected and transported to be used as personal ornaments. They were also using pigments like red and yellow, ochre, and black manganese, while some of this might have been used for practical purposes, like tanning hides. It's very likely it was also used for body paint, a form of symbolic expression. Let's talk about their tools. The Neanderthal toolkit, known as the Mousterian industry, was sophisticated and versatile. They were masters of a technique called where they would meticulously prepare a stone core to strike off a perfectly shaped flake with a single blow. It's like knowing exactly how the stone will break before you even hit it. This required foresight, planning, and a deep understanding of materials. They created a variety of tools: sharp flakes for cutting meat, scrapers for preparing animal hides, and points for their spears. They weren't just banging rocks together. This was skilled craftsmanship passed down through generations. They also controlled fire. Hearths are common at Neanderthal sites. Fire was essential for warmth, for cooking food, which makes it easier to digest and unlocks more nutrients, for keeping predators away at night, and for tool making. It was the heart of their camp, a place to gather, share food, and socialize. One of the most human things we can do is bury our dead. Did Neanderthals do this? The evidence is tantalizing but debated. At sites like La Chapelle-aux-Saints in France, a nearly complete Neanderthal skeleton was found in a pit that seems to have been intentionally dug. In Shanidar Cave, Poland found in one burial led to the flower burial hypothesis, suggesting they laid their dead to rest on a bed of flowers. While this specific interpretation is now questioned, the fact remains that they were placing their dead in protected places, sometimes in specific positions. Whether this was a ritual with a concept of an afterlife or a practical way to dispose of a body and prevent scavenging, it shows a level of care and consideration that goes beyond simple instinct. So what happened to them? After hundreds of thousands of years of success, the Neanderthals vanished from the fossil record around 40,000 years ago, not long after modern humans, Homo sapiens, arrived in Europe. There's no single, simple answer to their disappearance. It was likely a combination of factors. One major factor could have been climate change. The world was entering a period of rapid and extreme climate fluctuation, making it harder to find food. The vast forests Neanderthals were adapted to hunt in were shrinking, replaced by open steppe. Another factor was competition. Modern humans arrived with slightly different technologies, perhaps more efficient long-range projectiles like spear throwers and larger social networks. Even a small competitive advantage spread over thousands of years could have been enough to tip the scales. Our ancestors may have simply outcompeted them for resources. And then there's the question of interbreeding. We know from genetic analysis that it happened if you have any non-African ancestry. You have a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA in your genome typically. Between 1 and 2%. This means that at some point our ancestors met Neanderthals and had children together. So, in a way, they didn't completely disappear. A small part of them lives on in us today. Perhaps they weren't wiped out, but were gradually absorbed into the much larger modern human population. The story of the Neanderthals is a powerful reminder that our vision of the past is constantly changing. They were not slow, stupid brutes. They were a successful and intelligent human species with a rich and complex cultural life. They loved their families, cared for their sick, expressed themselves symbolically, and survived for millennia in a brutal world. Their story isn't one of failure, but one of incredible resilience. And by studying them, we learn more about the diversity of the human journey and ultimately more about ourselves. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the Ice Age. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the past, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. See you in the next video.